Hey guys, today we'll talk about with age comes wisdom. And sometimes wisdom is a good thing, but then it's can be not fun. And my past few videos, I've brought you vehicles to shop for um, through my years of experience and things like that. So I'm giving you the information that you need and maybe want to hear. But today I want to be a little bit different. It's Christmas Eve, and just had a lot on my mind lately, um, about everything in life, just life in general. And um, it's like the older I get, the more I see life. Life is great, but it's also can be a scam. And what I mean by that is we're fed all this information daily. Um, and this being an automotive channel, I'm going to throw some vehicle references in here, but it also expands to everyday items, everyday things, that we're um, conditioned, how we're conditioned to think and behave and do. And vehicles are probably the big um, the big item, because okay, you start out, maybe you're a teenager, you got your first car, and you if your parents bought it, it's probably a beat up old Corolla or whatever it is, just um or if you bought it, it's probably whatever you could afford to get, and you bought it because you thought it was cool or it looked cute or whatever. And so now that you've maybe went through college and you got your first job, and now you're making decent money, you're thinking, all right, well, now I need to upgrade my vehicle, right? Because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Well, when you do these things and you start buying the next vehicle, well, then as you get a promotion or you work your way up the career ladder, then you want to upgrade your vehicle, right? A lot of people call this lifestyle creep. And really, when you're buying a vehicle, we are visual creatures. We like the way it looks. We like the styling. We like certain things visually about it. And then we then go, okay, well, I do want to keep some of my money. I know I got to pay for this vehicle and put gas in it and pay for some oil changes, but I want to also keep some of my money for myself and for other interests in life. Um, also there's lifestyle. You buy a home, you want to upgrade your home. When you upgrade your, get a promotion or you get a better career, those things happen. And yeah, lifestyle creep is a thing. But as I've gotten older, it's like the veil is lifted. Well, for a long time as a mechanic working on vehicles, they all tend to end up being just another pile of nuts and bolts. One may look prettier than the other, but essentially it's just nuts and bolts and put together, and put rubber on it and it goes. But the reality is, yes, um, some vehicles are considered to be more valuable than others. Some vehicles are made to be collector's items, and some vehicles have just became collector's items. Maybe they weren't built to be a collector's item, but because maybe for nostalgia's sake, someone wants to remember their childhood and they go buy a vehicle and put it into their collection. But the reality is, when you peel off the layers, you start to realize that things are not as great as they're made out to be. Um, some of us, when I was a kid, I had a Lamborghini Countach on my wall as a kid. I had the poster of a Lamborghini Countach, and I just thought it was the coolest thing, right? And of course, here I am now. The cost of a Lamborghini Countach when they first came out in, I think, 79 is whenever they were first introduced in the US. Yeah, I don't know what the MSRP was in 79, but I do know that today they're worth anywhere between 500,000 to $1 million, maybe $1.5 million to get one. But the reality is that car that looked like it was going 100 miles an hour sitting still, that car was a maintenance nightmare. You had to shell out money, pour money into that thing on a yearly basis just to keep it running. And even today, the market is so high on those things. And people go, yeah, but it only cost this in 79 and now it's worth this. Well, that's all fine and good. And I think we as humans, we get wrapped up into that because there's other cars too that have appreciated since their conception. Think about the 2005 Ford GT. Well, the Ford GT, a brand new sticker on the lot, was probably $130,000. Now they're in that same price range, $500,000, $300,000 to $500,000. Well, you go, okay, well, if I'd have bought that car then and held on to it till now, that's a good return on investment. On paper, yes. But if you really look at it and dissect the numbers, it's really more like breaking even. And the reason I say that is because people don't think about the maintenance. People don't think about taxes, insurance, things like that. And it's like, if you really do the math and crunch the numbers, 2005 to 2024, 2020, that's 20 years. So for 20 years of paying inflated insurance, because it's a prestige vehicle that it's not cheap to insure, and they've probably had to pay premiums on that insurance to insure it for a certain value, dollar value, to ensure that if anything happened to it, they're paid out a premium. So you got premium insurance on top of that, on top of premium maintenance. Then property taxes every year, unless you live in one of those states that, you can register it and not have to pay yearly property taxes. Now, I live in Kentucky, so every year I got to pay ownership taxes. So if you're in one of those states like Kentucky, you add all that up over the course of years, and you realize even though the value of that vehicle increased, you really didn't make that much money on top of that. And if you do, it's marginal. So then you could break it down to, okay, was the joy of owning it, the car, worth it? That's one of those beauties in the eye of the beholder answers. But for some, you would say, yes, it was worth it. I got to experience this car, the ownership of this car. But then to others, if you're really honest with yourself, you'd probably go, you know what? It's probably more stress than what it was worth, because you got to stress about not driving it as much to keep the mileage low, because that's where your value is. Then you got the stress of keeping it washed, pristine, the paint correction, all that stuff, ceramic coatings, if you choose to go that route, preserving the vehicle, we'll just label it preserving the vehicle, cost and stress. And if you do take it out for a car show or cars and coffee, then you're worried about door dings, scratches, road trip, chips, debris, all of that stuff. It's added stress to your life. And I'm seeing this at my age now, even as a mechanic and an enthusiast, I'm seeing it. And I'm starting to see it. And I'll admit, yes, some cars just have a sound that's just amazing to hear going down the road. And some cars are just more beautiful to look at in a parking lot. But if you get beyond those initial layers and you start to see the other layers that is involved in there, it really makes you start thinking, like, is this worth it? Is this, And so full disclosure, for me, I'm sitting here in my Shelby, and this car is near and dear to my heart. And as if you've seen my other videos, this is a tribute to my mother that passed away. So this car is near and dear to my heart for that reason. I did not buy this car to flip next year for more money. This is not why I bought this car. But I also have a Ram 1500 that is my daily, and I'm actually going to sell the Ram because I have two vehicles that have full coverage insurance and annual taxes, and even though I can afford it, I don't think it's the wise decision to constantly throw away money on a vehicle that's depreciating. Now the Ram will depreciate. This is questionable. I think this has maybe hit its bottom on depreciation. Maybe it's got a little bit more to go. I don't know. But the Ram is going to depreciate because they're going to build new pickup trucks. It's not a T-Rex. It's not a specialty edition. But I have two vehicles that are V8s. The gas, the insurance, whether you can afford it or not, it's just to me it's not. To me, it's not worth it. To me, I'm going to sell the Ram if it sells, and then I'm just going to get me a cash vehicle that I can drive every day and not worry about scratches, dings, dents. If someone door dings me in the parking lot, who cares? I have the Shelby that, keep in the garage and break it out on the weekends and have fun in it. And, the Shelby for me is my fun toy. And I'll keep it at that. But I don't need two newer or two high value vehicles to have to worry about. And there's some people out there that's great that you've got maybe a collection of cars and they're all high value, and that's great. I'm really happy that you hit a point in life to be able to do that. But for the everyday person, I'm just sitting here looking at, that's just not, I would honestly, have hit a point in life to where I would rather have some of the money that truck is valued at and have it investing, making me money. I really would. To do other things. I mean, there's more to life than cars. I mean, as a car enthusiast, and I know that's a tough pill to swallow for some people, but there's more hobbies, there's more interest, things like that. And to go a little bit deeper, everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got their thing in life that's it for them. Maybe they like to golf, so they golf a lot. Maybe and take trips, devote a traveling trip to go golfing. And some people maybe are, some ladies like their Louis Vuitton bags or their Coach purchases. Everybody's got their thing, right? And that's fine. We're all alive once, and we all need to find joy in this world. But we also need to be wise and look at things and go, why am I really buying this? Like, why am I willing to throw so much money at this thing and go deeper? Some people, it's like, I'm just rewarding myself for 2 hard weeks at work. I'm going to go to the mall, but buy my Louis Vuitton bag, and that's it, right? That's the first initial layer of the onion that they're operating on. Is like, I have the goal, made the goal, done. And even with this is a car channel. Even with the car, I wanted a good job so I can afford this car. I did it. I bought it. Boom. Okay. But you got to look at the other layer and go, you know what? I bought the car, but why did I buy the car? Why really did I buy this car? Why really did I buy this Louis Vuitton bag? Maybe there's probably going to be a few people that honestly deep down would say it's really because of the quality. If it is great, buying quality is wise. Even with a nice quality built pair of shoes, absolutely pay $200 to $300 for a nice, good quality pair of shoes that you're going to keep for 10, 15 years, and it's going to last you a long time, because in 10 to 15 years, that $300 is going to be minimal compared to adding up the $50 pairs of shoes that you had to buy every 6 months because they wore out or they just didn't hold up or whatnot, and you tossed in the trash. So yeah, you're going to spend less money over time buying that quality product. So it pays to think deeper before you go spending your money on items. And that's not just cars, but it's anything. Because if you really think about it, when you make that purchase, see, the other layers of that onion is who did you just make rich by making that purchase? Because you think you're rewarding what starts out as a reward to yourself for your hard work. Now you just made another company rich because you're going into debt, or you're spending your hard-earned money. Not saying everyone's going into debt, but most people are. But you're spending your hard-earned money and making someone else rich, and we're not thinking about that layer, that next layer beyond our initial purchase. And the same with with buying vehicles is you buy the vehicle because it's an impulse decision, or whatever the reason it is you're buying it, and then it depreciates. Well, you're losing money on depreciation. And if you're buying a premium vehicle that's going to cost even more to maintain, more to insure, and more on taxes, that's a lot of extra money that's going out the door just so you can show off that you were able to obtain said whatever vehicle that is. And blew me away that certain vehicles even require you to have a portfolio to even buy the certain models, like Porsche, Ferrari. I'm not sure about Lamborghini or not. Probably on their limited edition models. But you go into that and you're like, oh my goodness, what a ripoff. What a scam. That in order to buy, say, a 911 GT3 RS, you have to have a portfolio of 10 to 15 other Porsches that you've lost money and depreciation on to be able to be offered to purchase this car that's going to cost you tons of maintenance. I mean, you get the point by now. But I just really wanted to put this out there to really hopefully get people to really think deeper. And it's, I don't want to say, I don't want to sound depressing about it, but that's the reality. The reality is that we are conditioned to define success as acquiring certain things, certain material things. And, I think we've been programmed, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I really think we've just been programmed and conditioned that acquiring this stuff is the key to happiness, and, we really have to dig down deep and go, you know what? Buying a new vehicle is nice, but there's more to life than that. Does it now, a vehicle is a necessity to an extent, but we also have to go, you know what? I need a vehicle that's going to suit my lifestyle. What do I like to do in my free time? Now, I know I made a previous video on cars that I would recommend new and used. And I left out Subaru for a reason. I'm not a fan of CVT, but let's just say I'm going to use Subaru in this one because, you know, maybe you're outdoorsy and you like to travel, and, you know, Subaru's got all-wheel drive. It's a wagon. It's got utility, and, you know, you can do a lot with that vehicle. I'm not saying it's going to last forever, but it fits a purpose. So maybe you go, okay, I'm going to find a Subaru Forester or Outback or whatever in my price budget because it fits my lifestyle. So, you know, the vehicle is a necessity. Just don't make it your life goal to just upgrade and buy the next thing. You know, you don't need a Mercedes to show that you're successful. You don't need a Corvette to show that you're successful. You don't need a Lamborghini to show you're successful. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that's going to vouch for vehicles being investments. In some cases they are. Very, 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 very small percent they are. Because if you really start thinking about, and that's the thing, they'll say, oh, it's an investment. It flipped it, like I said earlier in the video. But if you start adding up the maintenance costs, the storage costs, the conditioning cost, preserving the condition cost, taxes, insurance, all that stuff over time, it's almost like a wash. It's a break even. But which breaking even is better than buying a vehicle and it just depreciating to where you lose everything. But it's a lot of stress in the meantime to maintain and upkeep and worry, you know, for 5-10 years until it appreciates. But anyway, I hope this video makes sense. I hope it gets you thinking. I hope it helps some people. Questions, comments below. Thanks. God bless, and Merry Christmas.